Hi, my name is Deb White. I'm with Life Christian Academy. I'm one of the co-founders of the school. And one of the things that I like to do is help parents be able to get scholarships, and then also to help other people know how to turn their Arizona tax dollars into scholarships. So that's what we're going to be covering today, is how to turn Arizona tax dollars into scholarships. So as I said, with the housekeeping, we're going to be recording this. And then if you have any questions at the end, what we'll do is we'll turn the mics on and I'll be able to answer any questions at that time. Or if you get disconnected or if you have to leave, you can always just write them down and then send them to me in an email at deborah.white@faithfc.org. That will also have been in the presentation. So if something comes up and you're not able to ask the question now, we'll go ahead and get that later. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to explain how the scholarship program in Arizona works, what it is, and how to utilize it. So that's the two things. We're going to explain the program, and then I'm going to show how you turn your Arizona taxes into scholarships. At the end of the day, basically, it doesn't cost you anything, and that's the great news. You're just taking the money that that the state would keep and turning them into scholarships. So the first thing we want to talk about today is, what is an STO? And the STO stands for School Tuition Organization. STOs are nonprofits, and what they do is they actually are the ones that manage the Arizona tax dollars, and they're the ones that then turn those into scholarships for the students. So the tax dollars don't come to the school directly. They go through the STO because the STOs are the ones that are approved to manage those funds, and then they are the ones that would distribute it. They're also the ones that will send the taxpayers the documentation they need when it comes time to file their taxes. The amazing thing about Arizona, and this is what I tell people all the time, it's always a surprise, is that Arizona allows you to decide how your tax dollars are going to be spent. It's an amazing opportunity for us. So it's the tax dollars that the state keeps. It's not your refund. It's not what you paid in. It's what they actually keep. And they allow you to decide as the taxpayer how those tax dollars are going to be spent. They can either remain with the state or they can become a scholarship. And so that's what the STOs do, is they manage that. So that's what the next slide is about. It talks about that Arizona allows individuals and certain types of businesses to donate their tax liability to an STO. And then those STOs turn those into scholarships for children to attend private schools. Lots of times I get asked, well, why would Arizona do this? Well, Arizona does this because it saves them money. At the bottom line, that's it. It saves them millions of dollars by having children go to private schools instead of public schools, because private schools can actually do the education for less money. Therefore, it saves the state money. That's the only reason they do it, is because it financially is fiscally responsible for them. So Life Christian Academy, we started in 2014, and we have met and tried to partner with, multiple STOs. The last I checked, I think there was about 90 STOs in the state. And we've tried different STOs, and ultimately we decided that we were going to partner with two. The two STOs that we partner with are ACSTO and School Choice Arizona. Those are the two that we partner with. Now, if somebody has sent their liability dollars to another STO, we'll absolutely work with those to get the funds transferred for a student. But as an organization, these are the two STOs that we have chosen to partner with, and I'll cover why we have chosen to partner with those in a couple of slides. The great thing about the program in Arizona is tax dollars that are donated are on a dollar for dollar tax credit. They're not like a regular donation. So what that means is, and we'll cover that too, is like if you send $500 to Goodwill, you'll get a percentage somewhere, a deduction down on your taxes. That's not this. What this is if you give $500 to ACSTO, Arizona will credit your liability $500. So it's a dollar for dollar tax credit. It's not a percentage. It's as if you sent the money to Arizona. So ACSTO is one of the two organizations that we partner with, and ACSTO stands for Arizona Christian School Tuition Organization. ACSTO is a nonprofit, and they are the ones that manage the donations and the distributions of scholarships. One of the things that we like about ACSTO is their mission is to make Christian education affordable for everyone. So we can, if someone is not able to financially support their child to go to a private school, this is what ACSTO does. They want to make sure that Christian education is available to anyone and that's not dependent on what the parent's income is. So that's their mission, is to make Christian education affordable for everyone. ACSTO was the first ACSTO was the first STO, and they started in 1998. So we are now into the 23rd year of this as an STO. So this is not a new program. It may be the first time you've heard of it, but it has actually been in operation for that many years. The last I checked, ACSTO had awarded over $240 million in scholarships to 38,000 students attending 150 different Arizona Christian schools. As you can see, that's a huge benefit for all of those families. So why did we choose ACSTO? Well, by law, every STO is required to give 90% of the donations in the form of a scholarship. That's what the law requires. However, ACSTO goes above the beyond required amount, and they give 92% of the donations, which means they only use 8% for their overhead costs. So that's one of the things too, is our families get more donation or more scholarships because we go through ACSTO. ACSTO is a Christian nonprofit. Their principles, beliefs, and practices align with our purpose to provide a Christian education. ACSTO has excellent parent tools on their website. They have amazing customer service when you call in. If you have questions, they are just right there to answer your questions. What we found is when working with other STOs, they were about the profit. They were about making the money. And we saw that multiple times when we would have parents donate and then the STO wouldn't give that money to the recommended student or even any of it to the recommended student. They did not have good customer service if they had any. And we just felt like they were not partnering with our parents and our families, and their mission wasn't lining up with ours. So that's another reason that we have been very, very satisfied and happy with ACSTO. They have always been there to help our parents. So that's kind of the background as to what an STO is, why we use ACSTO. So now I'm going to kind of explain how it works with the numbers. I love numbers because they're awesome. So let's just say that every week you have $20 that's taken out of your paycheck through payroll withholding. And they send that $20 a week to the state of Arizona. So we're just going to go with $20 a week out of your paycheck every week being sent through payroll withholding, sent to Arizona. At the end of the year, you're going to have $20 a week times 52 weeks. And that equals $1,040. And that $1,040 is in the Treasury of Arizona. So at the end of the year, you do your state income taxes, and they tell you that your liability is $500. That's what they say your liability is. Or another way to look at that is how they would figure that out is, let's just say, so you have $1,040 that has been sent to Arizona, and they're going to give you a $540 refund. That means that they are keeping $500. And that $500 is your liability. And this is also the amount of money that we want to turn to ACSTO and turn into a scholarship. So it's not the refund. It's not the money that has been sent to Arizona. It's in fact the difference of those two things. So it's the money that Arizona keeps. This is the money that we want to turn into a scholarship. So this is how we do it if we're looking at where the number comes from. So it's this much money, and this changes. This is why we can't tell you what you're going to owe personally or what your liability is, because it's going to depend on these numbers. It's going to depend on what have you sent into the state already? How much is your liability? Do you have a refund? Do you owe? And those are all just individual. And it's actually very easy to figure out how to do that. So we're going to go with this same scenario as far as what a person's situation. So this same person has had $1,040 taken out of their taxes and sent to Arizona. And there's two ways that the money can go from Arizona to a scholarship. So we're going to do as if it is now. We're at the end of the 2020 tax year. We're getting ready to file our 2020 taxes. So we're going to use that same scenario. So right now, I'm just going to pretend that that's me, and I have had $1,040 sent to Arizona. Okay. My liability is $500. So that's what we determined on the last slide, or last equation, was that's my liability. Okay, so my liability is $500. I've sent $1,040 to Arizona. Now I want to convert this $500 into a scholarship, but Arizona already has my money and they're not going to send it to the ACSTO on my behalf. So what I would do is I would send $500 to ACSTO, okay, as a donation. So I'm going to send them $500 to ACSTO. This needs to be done before I file my 2020 taxes and before April 15th to be counted for my 2020 taxes. That's the really cool thing, is because I can make a deduction here in February and they'll count it towards my 2020 liability, but only if I do it before I file my 2020 taxes and before April 15th. Okay. So I figure out what my liability is, and I do that by pre-doing my taxes before I submit them. And on line 52 of your Arizona income tax return is your liability. This is how you know what your liability is. It's not necessarily what you've paid in, anything like that. They're telling you this is how much, based on everything you've earned and reported and all your deductions, that's what your liability to the state would be. So we've already predetermined that by saying it's $500. So before I file my 2020 taxes and April 15th, you can do it this way. You can take out your credit card, make a $500 donation to ACSTO. Let's say, pretend I'm doing it today. So today I take my credit card, I make a donation to ACSTO. I recommend Life Christian Academy. And if I have a student or that I want to recommend, I do the student recommendation. So in this scenario, I might say, okay, you know what? I have $500. I'm going to recommend, I'm going to put Life Christian Academy down as a school, and I'm going to recommend Johnny Smith as the student. So now I've done this. I charged it on my credit card. Now what the state of Arizona is going to see is they're going to say that I have now paid into the system $1,540, because they're going to take the amount of money that I had previously taken out of my payroll withholding, and they're going to add the $500 donation I made to ACSTO, and they're going to say, towards my tax liability, I have a credit of $1,540. So now when they look at that, they're going to say, well, you've paid in $1,540. Your liability is $500. So now I'm going to get a refund check for $1,040. Okay. Because they're basically going to be refunding me back this one. So that's what the state's going to credit me towards my $500 liability. My $500 liability will be deducted from that. And now they're going to send this to me in the form of a refund. Okay. Does that make sense so far? Okay. So that's how that would work at the end of the year. Now, obviously, if you change some of these numbers around, and let's just say for the state of Arizona, I've only had $200 sent so far to the state of Arizona. Okay. My liability is $500. I still have to come up with the $300 difference. Does that make sense? So how that would work is my liability is $500. So if I send $500 to ACSTO, because that's my liability, the state of Arizona is now going to say, you have a $700 credit, right? Now they're going to minus off my liability, and now I'll get a refund of $200. Normally what people would do is they'd say, okay, I paid $200 in, my liability is $500, so I'll send the state of Arizona a check for $300. But in this case, we would send our liability, which is the full $500, to ACSTO. They would add those two, then they would subtract the liability, and then we would get a $200 refund. So that's why it's like really independent on what your personal tax situation is. So that's how we do it at the end of the year. The other way to do it is throughout the year. And for a lot of people, this makes it easier because they don't have to worry about doing stuff at the end of the year. So let's just say we had the same $500 liability. And just for the sake of argument, I'm going to say we get paid 50 times a year, which means that would work out to $10, right? $10 a week times 50, no, yeah. $10 a week for 50 weeks would pay my liability, okay? Now, let's just say I still want to have a refund. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to my HR department, and I'm going to say, instead of sending $20 a week to Arizona, I want you to change it to $10 a week that you send to Arizona. Now I'll have that other $10 a week on my paycheck, and that $10 a week on my paycheck, it's now on my paycheck. Now I send that $10 a week to ACSTO. And at the end of the year, they have my $500. And I don't have to do anything at the end of the year. So this is kind of a nice way to do it so you don't have to mess anything at the end of the year. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's a lot of moving parts. It really depends. And I tell people, when you get down and you're getting ready to do your taxes, if you want to do two things, let me know what is line 52. Okay. And then if you're married or single, and then I can help you go from there. So if line 52 is, because like if line 52 is $5,000, that's more than the state will allow you to send to ACSTO. So then there's going to be a different number there. If line 52 is $30, then $30 is the maximum you can do. So that's why I say, tell me what line 52 is. Let me know if you're married or single, and then I'll help you know which dollar amount to do based on your situation. So maybe you don't have $2,000 on your credit card, so you only want to do 1,000, so whatever. So if you would get down to that point, line 52, whether you're single or married, and then I can help you do the next step. And it's really very easy at that point. Once you have those numbers, you would just, you can call ACSTO, or you can go online to acsto.org. There's a place for donors, and you can do everything online. And then all you would need to know is what is the amount you can donate. Recommend Life Christian Academy. And if you want to know, if you want a recommendation for a student that we know that would definitely benefit from this, then let me know and I can give you a student name for a recommendation. And I think that's pretty much everything we have. There's on the slideshow, there's different formulas and stuff to kind of walk you through the same thing. But that's really basically it, kind of going through some real life situations and some numbers. So that would be it. Thank you.